If you want to learn how to daily journal on an iPhone, keep watching. Just like iPad planners and paper journals, you can create different spreads for your iPhone. Here, I am planning for my daily spread. Notes has virtually unlimited vertical space. I have identified 10 areas that I want in this layout. This is the order that I will put the sections in on my layout. An iPhone journal is small enough to fit in your pocket, but it can also do all of this. Hopefully, you watched the first video, which was how to create a daily journal template for an iPhone journal. If you haven't watched that video yet, pause this video, watch part 1, and then come back once you have created your template. Let's start by opening the Notes app and selecting the template. I've pinned the template to the top of the folder. Here you can see all the sections that were set up in the first video. I use the date as the entry's title. Section 1, One Beautiful Thing, is how I practice mindfulness. I take the time to capture one delightful thing in my day with a picture or short video. I have a to-do list that I limit to the top 3 things that must get done and checked off my list by the end of the day. I have a habit tracker, where I am tracking hydration. The goal is to drink 8 glasses of water a day. That's what the water droplets emoji is signifying. You will see emojis all throughout the template, to add a little visual interest and flair. I'm also tracking what I eat in a day, at a high level. I typically eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack. I track my purchases because it is very easy to develop a false sense of what your actual spending habits are, especially when you shop online and don't have a physical receipt or shop in person then throw the receipt away. It's a way for me to know if I really didn't spend any money in the last 24 hours or if I have been treating myself more often than I realize. My 60 seconds journal is where I use the iPhone's dictation function and speak out loud a short diary entry, letting out whatever is on my mind. It always turns out to be a moment of profound clarity, with a deep impact on my understanding of myself, especially when I reread a journal entry later. There is a notes section and an inspiration section with a mind-blown emoji. There is a feelings diary, that I mentioned in the first video is based on the theory of cognitive distortion. Let me know in the comments if you want a video on the types of cognitive distortion. I've put a link in the description to a few resources. I find this to be a good temperature check of my emotional well-being. The final section is the daily doodle. Let's scroll to the top. Next we copy the template, to paste in a new note, for today's journal entry. Tap in the white space to get the select all command to pop up. Then press copy. Hit the back arrow at the top to go to the journal folder. Tap the new note button in the bottom right hand corner for today's journal entry. Tap and hold for a moment. Tap on paste when it pops up. Now you are all set to journal for today. First, I'll put in the date. I'm using the date I plan to upload this video as the title. You don't have to use the date as the title, you can pick anything you want. I just used the date because that is what I am used to, for a diary type entry. Mindfulness is being conscious of the things around us. One beautiful thing, is a moment in my day, that I want to capture and preserve its memory. I capture it with a photo or even a short video. I know what I want to capture today. So let's do it. My lilies are blooming. Your one beautiful thing can be something big or small. It just should be something that brings a smile to your face or warms your heart. I'm back with my one beautiful thing. This section has the added benefit of creating a photo thumbnail that will appear next to your title in the journal folder. To insert the photo or video, tap the camera button and select, choose photo or video. I put any photos that I will use in my journal in an album called Journal Photos. I select the photo of the lily in bloom, then press add. There you have it. The journal spread looks even nicer. As I mentioned earlier, I put today's must-do items in this section. I dress the list up a bit by using emojis at the end of each to-do item, if I can find one that works. One of the items I have to do today is organize my nightstand. There isn't an emoji for nightstand. To still give this to-do item an emoji, I will use the one for bed instead. My final must-do for today is to go to the grocery store. I type in grocery shopping. I will use the shopping cart emoji. If you find yourself with half-done to-do lists, what is nice about having a top 3, is that it helps you to zero in on what is the most important rather than things that would just be nice to do. On to the habit tracker. This is tracking how much water I drink. I did have water in the morning when I first woke up. So I will add a water droplet emoji in the first table cell for that. You can use any emoji you like, or an X, if you prefer. Over the course of the day, I will go into my journal to mark each time I drink a glass of water. Let's just assume that I meet my goal for the day. So you can see what the table looks like completely filled in. You are not limited to 8 cells to track a habit. In part 1, I show how to make a table and add as many rows, columns, and cells as you need. There you have it. What it looks like completely filled in. I use this simplified food tracking table to stay generally aware of how healthy I am eating. You can enter your food intake in 3 ways. Just emojis, with emojis and text, or just use text. I use emojis to show the tea and omelette that I had for breakfast. For lunch, I had 2 tacos. For dinner, I had a salad. I will use text and an emoji to show what that looks like. I also had a snack in between lunch and dinner. I will add the emoji for a cookie. This is my food tally for the day. I like to track my daily purchasing because it is very easy to get amnesia about all the small purchases that can add up. This is especially true when buying online, or even in person, if you tend to immediately trash the receipt. In this section, I put the name of the item or store in the first column and how much I spent in the second column. Today I bought some reading glasses that were $15.98 with tax. If I buy anything else today, I will record it in the rows below. The 60-second journal is where I use the dictation button at the bottom to capture everything that I'm feeling or thinking in a stream of conscious. I try to limit it to about 60 seconds. You can journal longer than 60 seconds if you want. You may have to hit the dictation button a second time, but you can certainly have this journal entry be longer than 60 seconds. I set my goal at 60 seconds, because that is attainable for me as an everyday practice. I am so happy to be finally filming this video period. It's funny how you can procrastinate, and it's probably out of fear of failure more than fear of being on camera, period. Overcoming fear of failure is probably the first step for me. Whenever I am learning something new, period. I wonder if I could learn to become fearless. Fearless, period. I'm going to try to learn new things without hesitation, ? I go through the text and tweak any phrasing or punctuation that I need to. There are a few things that I want to change so that this journal entry best reflects how I feel. I will also remove any repeated words or insert any needed text that is missing. I add more to the entry if additional insights occur to me while reading through what I just wrote, or even later in the day. That is one of the nice things about journaling in Apple Notes. You can add and edit without the need to scratch out, or white out the previous information. Okay, I am happy with this. Notes are anything where I don't know if I necessarily am going to do it, but I want to note it, so that I get prompted to think about it some more. Having just talked about being fearless in the 60 seconds journal, I might consider trying indoor skydiving for my birthday. So, I will enter that into this section. I am not committing myself to this or making it a goal. But the way I feel today makes it seem like a possibility. I will note the idea and my initial thoughts on when to try doing it. Now let's go to the inspiration section. I use the mind blown emoji for this because that is what I see inspiration as, my mind opening. If I'm really inspired today, I put multiple mind blown emojis next to the title. Say today's inspiration was to start a YouTube channel. I know that's in the past. But for this video's purposes, let's pretend that's the idea. I type and start a YouTube channel. A real inspiration I had today is a video idea. After seeing Simone Biles land the Yurchenko double pike, the hardest vault, today in women's gymnastics, I had an idea for a future video to record, about how budgeting is like being on a balance beam. We'll see, maybe, I will film that video in the future, or maybe I won't. It's just an idea. But I won't forget about it and end up having to rack my brain trying to remember what the idea was. Inspiration doesn't always have to be recorded in words. I have a picture that I downloaded from a website. I'll choose the photo. Here is the picture of a vegetarian dish I saw and looked amazing. I select the picture. You can also capture photos or information on websites by taking a screenshot. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words and superior to writing out a concept in words. I can even annotate it with a note using the markup tool. I choose a marker. In this case, I want to try this for lunch one day soon. I will write lunch across the bottom in big bold letters. If you feel like this picture is taking up too much room, you can make it smaller by tapping on it, and selecting small images. By doing that, you are actually setting all of the images in the note to their small thumbnail versions. So you have to decide if you prefer thumbnail size images or larger images. I'm going to leave it at thumbnail size for now. The feelings diary is where I capture the emotional things going through my mind. By recording my feelings, I notice patterns and trends. When I recognize these trends, I can work to eliminate and avoid certain triggers, and focus my energy on how best to respond next time. The emotional events I record can be good or bad, big or small. I'll use one example that happened to me recently. My husband said that he loves my toast and that it is always yummy delicious. I'll use the smiley face emoji to highlight how I felt. I'll clear out the positive memory. Instead of a positive moment, I'll show a negative example. Let's say, my boss said he wants to talk to me this afternoon. And well, my initial reaction was feeling a little scared. So, I will use a scared emoji. I will write in the detail that I was worried that I was in trouble. I hadn't done anything that I should get into trouble for. It was just my instinctual reaction. What thought patterns can I recognize from that? I was definitely catastrophizing and mind reading. If you don't like the way that checked items move to the bottom of the list, you can change that option in settings. I'll show that really quickly. You go into settings, then scroll down to notes. Next, scroll down to sort checked items. If you choose automatically, it moves items to the bottom when checked. If you choose manually, items will not move to the bottom when they are checked. I've switched to manually. Here you can see, if I check fortune telling, it does not move to the bottom, even after being selected. And the last thing that I like to do each day, is my daily doodle. For the daily doodle, there are 3 ways that I can do it. The first way, is I add a photo of a simple, coloring book type image that I find online. And then I use the markup tool, to color it in. Okay, that is done. The first technique was marking up an image. The second technique I used to doodle and exercise the creative, left side of my brain is to draw directly on the note. I go to lines and grids. I choose the style of drawing space that I like. In addition to different types of drawing tools, there is also a ruler if you want to make straight lines, and a lasso tool to help you move things around. I don't want to keep either of these. I am going to remove these two drawings and switch to a free app called SketchBook. I download or screenshot an image I like from the internet. Then I import the image into SketchBook, and I doodle on top of it until I like the way it looks. Today, I felt like doing a doodle of the purple one, His Royal Badness, the High Priest of Pop, the artist formerly known as Prince. My subconscious probably gravitated to Prince today, because I was thinking about being more fearless. Prince was certainly that. SketchBook has all the tools and capabilities that I need to give me the feeling of sketching and painting, without having to buy supplies or spend money buying an app. Let me know in the comments, if you want a tutorial on SketchBook. Let's save the finished photo to images. I open the note, and import Prince's enhanced image at the bottom. Now, for a final look at today's journal entry. I practiced mindfulness by taking a photograph of one beautiful thing I saw during the day. I zeroed in on my top 3 to-dos, to maximize my productivity. I tracked the most important habit that I want to stick to, with a hydration tracker. I plan for, and track, what I eat during the day, using the meal diary. I watched my spending, and kept my budget on track, with a daily spend table. I record the highlights of my life's journey in the 60-second journal, preserving my memories, and giving myself the opportunity to look back on things that, without hindsight, I would not recognize are significant, in shaping who I am, or, were major milestones. I captured my notes, which are, things I am interested in, and want to remind myself to learn more about. I saved the inspirations that I saw or came up with today. Inspiration is when my mind or heart feels drawn to do or try something. Today, it was an idea for a video, and a vegetarian dish for tomorrow's lunch. I use the feelings diary to focus on my mental health for just a few minutes a day. In this quick but powerful exercise, I was reminded to work on my tendency to assume the worst when faced with the unknown, and not to jump to negative conclusions. When I had some downtime during the day, I was creative with my daily doodle. Rather than consuming other people's content on Instagram or TikTok, I exercised the creative side of my brain, making a simple digital watercolor over a photo I found online. If you want to have more clarity on yourself, what you want in life, and your future direction, I highly recommend daily journaling on your iPhone. There you have it. My complete journaling for today. Please like and subscribe for more daily journaling and more content.